Hey guys, welcome to HBCU Drumline Talk. My name is Ricardo, and once again, if you don't know him by now, we are joined by my brother in percussion, EP the Great, also known as Elijah Powell. And man, it's great to be back on here with everyone. We've got a special guest today. I'll let him go ahead and introduce himself. His name is Mr. Alvin Moore. Tell us about yourself.
Like you said, I'm Alvin Moore. I'm currently the director of bands at Northview High School in Norfolk, Virginia, graduate of Norfolk State University, bachelor's and master's, music education, emphasis in percussion. I've been a percussion instructor at a lot of different high schools and things like that. So I know a little bit about percussion, just a little bit.
Good to me. This is great. Sounds like we're gonna have a good episode today. So EP, I'm gonna let you go ahead and take over.
All right, cool. So before we get started, I just want to share something, the reason for this episode, something that I use with my beginner students. Let me share my screen and make this big for you. So what it is called my Rhythmic cheat sheet. Starts whole note, break that down to 2/2, 4/4, 16th, eighths, 16ths. And it also shows you, the rest, whole rest, half, quarter, eighth, and 16th. With this being said, we're gonna go into a piece of music that has, all of these different rhythms or different notes with some different, variants of rhythms, but so like I was saying, from the rhythm tree, you seen quarters, eighths, 16ths, but you also saw some 30 seconds and some other stuff that's not on that tree, but the basics was there.
Yeah, I'm glad you showed us that. And that's, like you said, just to say everything that our viewers saw in that original rhythm tree, everything is on that piece of music. It looked like a difficult piece of write-up that you wrote there, but like I said, that rhythm tree lets us know that it's all, those basic things are all in that music. So let's get on into it.
All right, so I posted, I guess a question, not so much of a question, but I guess a statement in a group that we are on Facebook, and basically it was in reference to reading fundamentals. What can we do as a percussion community to make sure kids know how to read before college? I dealt with some high schoolers, middle schoolers, and majority of them, do not know how to read. And just, and I know high school band directors have a challenge. High school percussion instructors may have a challenge because everything is by rote or, by teaching by ear. But, I feel that it's something, even if you're not a music major, it's something you should know how to do. Because there's a lot of opportunities, for people who don't major in music, for us, career in percussion, drumming, what have you. But that was a question that, what can we do as a percussion community to help these high school directors, these middle school directors, enhance these, kids in our community, as far as their reading?
Yeah, man, I feel that this was a great question that you actually asked. And there was a lot of dialogues, gained a lot of traction on the PC. And for those that don't know, when I say PC, we're talking about the Percussion Connection. So a couple of things with Mr. Moore being in the thick of everything. What do you think about that question just in general?
It's a big problem, I want to say, but we're seeing the end result. So we really got to get to the cause of that The thing is, okay, kids can't read going into college, but it's everybody's feeling. It's not just a Virginia thing. It's not just a North Carolina thing. You know, everybody's chiming on this issue. And so we really got to go back to what is happening. And it's not, and I would gamble to say 90%. I don't think teachers are just not teaching percussionists. I think what's happening is a disconnect, because it is very different in the classroom setting now. And we have to think, you would think a lot of kids coming to college, you would think they started off in 6th grade and went to 6th through 12th grade. They matriculated through the program, but that's not the case. I can tell you, I've been to so many different schools. You know how many kids show up to Drumline and say, I want to play drums, and you don't turn those bodies away. So now you're in a situation where you are teaching to the emergency. And what I mean by that is, when I was in school, the first game was like in September. We start school in September, first game in September. Now the first game is in August. And you got these bodies. You got these bodies. And you want them to be able to read. You want them to be able to read that. But realistically, you got a game in 2 weeks. So what do? It's you teach by rote, and then there's never a point where we stop and catch up and say, all right, let's slow down for a second and get on these quarter notes. So I think the biggest thing at this point is teaching to the emergency, and you don't want to turn kids away. You want your program to have a standard, yeah, but you don't want to turn these kids away, you know, because you might be in a rural spot. What if only 5 kids show up and them kids don't know what they're doing? You gonna turn them away and say you can't read, or you're gonna try to get something out of them? You're gonna try to get something out of them, you know.
Yeah, for sure, man. And that's a really good point. You made some really good points there. In regards to Elijah, in regards to your question that you asked, there were a lot of good comments out there on the PC in regards to this, and we want to take a look at just a couple of these comments. And the first one we want to bring up is a comment that I noticed, and in regards to your question, they asked, you know, as a former high school instructor, I got it through my head a long time ago that I was going to have to teach reading on top of everything I have to do for percussion during camp. You know, unfortunately, a lot of middle school directors in my area, not all, but a lot, taught by rote and didn't stress fundamentals of reading or playing. So it was a huge deal right from day one. You know, by the time the kids came to me, some didn't know how to read or play double paradiddle. So if we really think about that comment right there, you know, middle school for most people across the country, 6th to 8th grade, right? So that's a lot of time going from 6th grade to 8th grade. When you get to high school, there's still some challenges there for some folks. How do we want to talk about this point?
Pretty much at the middle school level, middle school is where it gets funky. There are so many schools of thoughts and so many schools of practice at the middle school level. And I get that. So I've had students, like you said in the comment, I've had kids that come to me that can't play a double stroke roll. I've never had a kid come to me from middle school and was able to play a double stroke roll. I've never had a kid that can come to me and play a 9-stroke roll. And we have to teach these things because I don't know if y'all are familiar on some of the schools of thought or some of the practices that are going on in middle school. I'll give you a couple. One is I don't have a percussion section. I don't do middle school percussion. I don't know how to teach it. So 6th through 8th grade, you're not going to do percussion at all. You can do that when you get to the high school. That's one of them that I've seen. Another one is well, I don't have percussionists. On this song, I grabbed Susie, flute player. You play bass drum on this song. On this song, I grabbed one of my trumpet players. So you don't have dedicated percussionists. Now, they'll be able to read a little bit, but there'll be a skill gap. There'll be a skill gap there. You know, it's so many different things going on in these areas that we gotta look at these middle schools. And at the same time, middle school directors need to be knowing, hey, I'm sending them to high. So I can't really teach to serve my needs. I need to teach towards matriculation through a music program, and I think that's where the disconnect is, like you said, at the middle school, and I think they don't really know what the high schoolers need, what the high school directors need sometimes.
So I guess it's safe to say it's like a more of the school district as a whole is a problem.
Yeah, it's even if you can lobby and say, you know, I see some people say, well, I put all my percussion in one class. That's cool and I love it. But what happens when they don't let you do that?
Yeah, yeah.
What happens when they don't let you do that? And at the same time, I've had kids come to me. I have this problem every year with ninth graders. You know, I get the kids that play percussion. I hand out some music, and the kids will stand around and I start asking questions, and I get this answer a lot. I play bass drum.
Yeah.
They'll be I play bass drum. Like, what you play? Like, I play a snare. I play snare, and nobody plays mallets.
Yeah.
because it's not being pushed. And I'm not even gonna lie to you, I didn't play mallets in high school. The only reason I got on mallets, like when I got to Norfolk, William Bethea told me to get some mallets, and I got them, and he showed me how to build scales, and he said, I want to hear all 12 next Monday, 3 octaves. So I had a choice to make. I went to Chick-fil-A and I brought it back to the mallet room, and I got them all 12. They was raggedy, but I got them, and I practiced it. But that was a testament to my like perseverance. You know, every child ain't gonna do that. You know, you had that one stellar kid, but it's so deep, man. And I don't want to say it's one issue, but like you said, like how do we start? How do we get it started? And I think one of the biggest things that needs to happen is there are a lot of dynamic percussionists. We got to start having clinics.
Yeah.
And we have to start showing up, things like Explosion Day, a day in Sparta. We need those things.
Yeah.
You know, it's a gap. So we got to fill the gap. We can't complain about it. We have to do things like that at this point, you know.
So you bring up, Mr. Moore, you bring up some good points there. And like you said, there are a lot of phenomenal percussionists in all areas, right? And in any area where we're at. So do you feel that it's sometimes the percussionist's job in the area to go out to these rural locations or to these places to say, hey, look, here's what I can do, here's what I can help out with? You feel that would help in some instances?
I do. I can't say it's their job because, you know, the economy is different, and I can't really tell people to show up for free. But if it's on your heart, like okay, for example, my high school, they're not, and I hate to say this, I hate when people refer back when I was in band. They're not playing at the level we played at, right? And that's cool. But I go out there when I can. Now I got my own band, but when I can, I go out there. I sit with them. I talk to them, and I let them know that my door is open if they need anything. We got to start that outreach, and with that outreach, I can tell you what is dangerous is the right people got to go. It's a lot of cadence teachers masquerading as drumline instructors.
Well, I will say this. You mentioned something, Pointer. You know, outreach is great, but it's not free. You know, so that's something to consider as well. And we all have our own lives that we have going on, but you know, for that outreach thing, it's time consuming. You just want your time to be worth the while.
Yeah. And like you said, like I said before, it's really at this point you're teaching to the emergency. And I'll tell you my situation. Now I do a combination. I do teach students to read, but I do use rote learning. It's a tool. I use sound before sight when I need to. I have never had, I think at Norview, the biggest I've had the drumline was maybe 12, 15, but I've never had all them students show up on day one. Day one might be 3 kids.
Gotcha.
Week 2 might be 8. By the time December hits, you got that full line. So, you know, do you backtrack? Do you tell them, no, you can't come on the line because I'm teaching how to read and we on 16th notes and you would just bring everybody down? You have to be flexible is what I'm getting at. You really have to be flexible in this day and age.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, so all good points. Let's Elijah, so for your question, there was another comment here. Let's take a look at our second comment here. And the second comment basically states, you know, middle school, since we are talking about middle school directors are left out so much, you know, let's start there at the middle school level. So it wouldn't be immediate results. And of course, but I've noticed that instructors don't regularly work with on a middle school level or help out with middle school directors that are trying to do both winds and percussion. That's where the issue begins, because a lot of middle schools, especially in inner cities, don't have help like other schools. So I think we really addressed that. Not to say that the issue is starting out in middle school, but that's where it pretty much starts, right? So by the time they get to high school and they don't know, like that rhythm, the basics of that rhythm tree, we got to ask those questions. Hey, well, what happened 6th, 7th, and 8th grade? What do you think about that, EP?
So, I mean, I just want to comment. I think, and I hate to be the one that says, well, this is how it was when I was in school. But my district, we had everybody working together from the elementary music teacher, middle school, and high school. It wasn't no big city. It was a small rural city, Danville. But everybody worked together. So, I started reading in the 5th grade. Middle school, we didn't have a marching band. We had a concert band, but I was still reading and this and that. So I think, the district should work together. All the music teachers get together, and see how can I help? How can I come help your kids? Blah, blah, blah on this. But I think it has to be a team effort.
And Mr. Moore, just to piggyback on what you said earlier, I don't like to, and I'm like you, I don't like to hear folks talk about what they did in the past, but just as a point of reference, I can say, hey, look, when I was in middle school, we had to have the snare drum and the bell kit, at the same time. And I remember you went to the music store, you checked out the snare drum. It was a CB700 snare drum, and then you got the little bell kit that went with it. But also at the same time, yes, the music teacher had winds class, he had percussion class, and he had entire band class to put it all together. I don't know where the ball was dropped at. I don't know why things changed, but I just noticed things have changed. If we're hearing a lot of folks saying, hey, by the time a lot of kids get to us on the high school level, and we don't know the basics of counting, that's why we got to ask those questions. Hey, what happened? And I think a lot of folks are saying, hey, not to say that people aren't out there, but what has that middle school director done to reach out to say, hey, look, I need help?
Well, I think too, we got to look at, man, y'all made some dynamite points. We got to look at too, we don't realize how high the middle school turnover rate is for band directors. It is extremely high. And as y'all know, when band directors leave, what do kids do?
Leave also.
They some of them leave, or the new director has a different way of teaching. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like the last director know where you left off at. I don't know where you left off at, so I got to kind of treat you like I got to kind of feel my way around you. And like you said, when you was in school, like you had to get a bell kit and this and that and this. The thing, we can't say that stuff no more because of the socioeconomic divide. I can't say. I know directors that say, hey, the first 5 of y'all to go get the bell and snare drum kit, that's my percussionist. That's it.
Yeah.
The day you start with it, you want percussion. Now that creates a great socioeconomic divide, because if you've taught in some of the inner city places I have, a lot of people don't have it. So what you've done is you've priced people out. You've priced people out of music, and like he was saying, he said they all work together. And what I'm finding, what is going on, and my colleagues and who I talk to, you might be the high school director, but the middle school director has totally different practices, right? And let's say the middle school director, I'm not teaching counting, I'm teaching singing because I like singing. So it's all these different schools of thought. I'll give you one for example. I'm old school. I like 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E, and I know where they're gonna fall. If I'm thinking 1E and a, right? My mind told me what? Right, left, right, left. If I see an accent on that fourth partial, I know that's left. All right, 9 times out of 10, and that's what I like. But a lot of middle schoolers are being taught ta, takatiki, takatiki, ta. So what's happening is they get to high school and they're like, oh, that's ta, ti, and they have no sense of timing. Yeah. So it's a lot of that is going on, and those things should be made uniform throughout the district. Like, what are we rolling with? We rolling with 1E inner, or we rolling with takatiki? Yeah, because basically they having to start all over when they trying to learn the 1E inner. Yeah. And they get discouraged, and nobody wants to play a game they're losing. I got you. You
Okay,
know,
so just, yeah, like I said, really good point. So real quick, gentlemen, the first two comments that we have, let's take a different look at these. Real quick and the quick as you can, what's the solution? Seems like the issue is on the coming from a lot of middle school perspective. So Elijah, what's your solution to that?
Like I stated earlier, the school district working together, high schoolers, middle schoolers, elementary, find some type of way to work together so we can, just how we gonna teach these kids. But then, like you said, Mr. Moore, falls back on is that band director gonna be there, you know, for the duration. Because when somebody new come in, but still, they can still meet up, have a meeting. Okay, you might be a new middle school director, but this is the plan we have for our district. So I think it's working together, come up with a plan.
Oh, good solution. Mr. Moore, your solution real quick.
I agree. Working together for a common goal, and realize that goal is for the betterment of the students in their musical pursuits. Not just we want to say our kids can read, but hey, this kid can read. He can get some scholarships. He can get some money and things like that. And as well, there are colleges close to a lot of these schools. There needs to be a bridge from that music department and those music majors to those kids. We got to start building bridges between. We got to be visible. We got to be a little bit more visible and let the students know who we are. We're not just some big building or institution. We can help, especially for a band director that doesn't play percussion or anywhere that you need help. You know, we got to start building bridges and relationships.
Yeah, good solution. I think my solution is this. There again, I have never been a middle school or high school teacher. I've helped out on those levels. I think I would give a suggestion of solution. Hey, middle school director, I'm sure you have some type of budget. Reach out to the high school or reach out to the colleges around the area and just say, hey, look, I need a person in percussion who can teach the basics on reading, period. Here's a little stipend that I have. I need you to show up maybe twice a week, Monday and Wednesday. Friday, we have full band practice, case closed. Toss them a little dollars, and then, you know, there you got the beginning of the reading, because you have someone there who's actually showing up just to work on the fundamentals of reading.
But to you know, go off of that, you know, you don't have to pay these probably percussion majors that's a sophomore and junior. You could probably make that part of that class, percussion class. Okay, you got this high school this semester. You know, part of your grade is to go help out, blah blah blah. So, you know, we all know money is a problem in the high school level, middle school, you know, but that's another idea. You know, make it part of that university's curriculum for the music major percussionists. This is your school for this. I don't know how it would work, but just an idea.
Yeah, and it all, I think, Elijah, you said working together. It all funnels back up to that statement, working together.
Yeah.
If you build that network of folks, you know, high school, on the college level, you know, who doesn't want to go and help somebody read music? And that's all you have to do, just help the fundamentals. Yeah, good points. Good points, gentlemen. Got anything else to say on that?
No, I agree with that. We do have a student observation level 2.
Yeah.
But I think that could be a little bit more like hands-on.
Yeah.
I think the class is there, just the how you say, the infrastructure or the goal is there. You know, it's all the way there. You know, the class is there, but it could be utilized a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's take a look at the third comment that was posted by your question, Elijah. So this person said, you know, in the past, it may have been more difficult, but today there is a video on YouTube for just about everything, including lessons on how to read music. The teachers have to make it an exception, or teachers have to make an expectation, and the students have to want it. You know, there are more than enough resources to assist with this, because a lot of our music and marching band is repetitious and often not as difficult to learn by rote as the wind parts. There is a lowered expectation of needing to learn. So let's really look at this. What do you think about that?
Well, I agree, but I disagree. There is a video for everything, and I talk about it. I show these videos. I'm pretty sure y'all familiar with Dr. Funkenstein, John. I show those videos all the time, especially when I'm doing rudiment work. I show these videos. But at the same time, I would tell you, I'm gonna be transparent. I'm gonna tell y'all this. I don't know nothing about a car. I don't know how to change a tire. I don't know how to change oil, right? But I'm pretty sure there's a video on it. but am I up to that task by myself with no guidance? I know, I can do certain things, but you have to, like you said, you have to want it, and you have to be of a certain level to kind of study by yourself at a young age, if that makes sense. And they do have more technology than we have. They got more resources than we have, but you can have all the resource you want, but if it's not a priority, you're not going to use that resource. You get what I'm saying? Like you're not going to use that resource. So I think we got to kind of guide the students to the videos. And we, if you're a teacher, you already know they pushing us to use technology. We got to kind of show that technology first and show the kids these videos. And I have a playlist I make for my students, and I show it to them. We can't just expect them to, it's about knowing your students, I think,
Yeah, I like what you said, Mr. Moore, about, you don't know nothing about cars, but like I said, there's videos on YouTube. I didn't know how to change brakes, but I didn't want to pay nobody else to change my brakes. If something that I can
priority.
It's my priority. So I watch videos and I learned how to do it. I changed my own brakes. So yeah, I like it. It has to be a priority for the kid, wanting to do it. But it has to be, I guess, encouraged by the instructor, director also. Or have some type of, like you said, playlist or guide outline of, what you're doing.
Yeah, so good points. I think with this question and just looking a little bit more deeper into this, and I agree there are a lot of good videos out there on YouTube for kids to access, but just keep in mind, there are also a lot of suspect videos out there as well, that don't really it's just out there for you. So how to discern what's actually good and how to discern what's actually, suspect is just, I think that's on our end where we come and, like you said, create a playlist and just show us, hey, here's the good things. Here's some things that are kind of, on the ledge of being suspect in regards to, teaching reading as well. There's another thing I wanted to really talk about, and this word comes up so much, rote. And I want to just address our audience is that, what is the definition of rote, right? So when we really think about that, let's take a look. Webster's dictionary lets us know that rote is the use of memory, usually with little or no intelligence, right? It's just something that's just done repetitious. It's not, it doesn't take a lot to do it. If we think about, what another words for rote, it could be like synonyms such as an established and often automatic or monotonous series of actions followed when engaging in some activity. So with this word rote, I just want folks to really know, hey, really think about that in regards to how, when we teach or when an instructor teaches. If I'm out there really, hey, showing this, I'll give you a perfect example. Elijah, you know this, right? And I'm sure everyone knows. Rote can be compared to what? Like, I look at it as a pickup game of basketball or pickup game of football, right? Mm. So when we go and pick up a basketball and we get with our friends and we say, well, let's go just play 5-on-5 real quick. Are we really playing? Are we really doing pick and rolls? Are we really, running down the rules? Or are we really following these steps? A fumble is a fumble when you play football. It's whether you held them or hand tackled them, it's just a fumble, right? Yeah. And that's what I kind of compare rote to. It's something that, Elijah, you and I get together, go ahead and let's play. Or Mr. Moore, let's get ready to play this thing. Hey, show me that. How did you do that again? That's what I really compare that to. I really kind of look at it from a standpoint of just really wanting to be careful with, teaching rote on all levels, because it may not be the best way to approach things in a scholastic type of situation.
I think rote, we look at it like it's a cuss word. I will say this, too much of anything is a bad thing. But I truly believe that rote learning is a tool that you have to employ sometimes. So let's say, and I'm pretty sure, E, you might have been in this situation. Y'all might have been rehearsing at V-State or something. Band director stops the music and says, hey, I want that part changed. Change it now. You got to run right there. All right. All right, 3, 2, 1. And you got to do that real quick on the fly, right? Yeah. So at the same time, it's a tool. It's a tool that we need to employ. A screwdriver is a tool, right? So is a hammer. You have to have tools in your toolbox and know when to use them. And I wrote my thesis on this. You know, in Africa, they have some of the most complicated and diverse polyrhythms in the world. Mm-hmm. They are not written down. They are, they're stupid complicated. And the way they teach them is they get behind you and they pat on your shoulders. And I'm pretty sure you've done that to a bass drum or something. And it's a method from Africa. And I believe we need to be teaching how to read, but we also need to have that in our toolbox for when we need it, because those kids that show up that can't read, they are an untapped source of potential. I'll give you an example. When I was at Southampton High School, those kids couldn't really read past a quarter note. I had 15 kids, and I had to teach towards the emergency. Now I hid the medicine in the candy, as my boy Steve Smalls like to say, and I sprinkled things in there. And I had one student went on to march in the pit and first base at PWI, reading her butt off. I have a student right now who's a sub section leader at an HBCU right now, Quint section leader. And I talked to the situation, and the passion was there, so they learned. So I think we need to know how to use rote as a tool and not a crutch. It needs to be a tool that's taken out sometimes, and you got to know when to put it back in the box, so to speak.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Just the whole the rote methodology.
I mean, Mr. Moore made a good example of when you should use it, and I'm not against that. You should like you said, your toolbox should have many tools. Not just a hammer. You need a screwdriver, socket wrench, pliers. You need different tools, because you never know. Like he said, when the band director might change his part in a dance routine, you ain't got time to go write no part on muse, score, or finale, and then come back. At least you got tap on that shoulder, bass. This is what it is, whatever. Or this is the part. But I think also to combat that, and this is more for the high schoolers, middle schoolers who's saying, or the instructors who's saying, well, the part is repetitious. Are we playing as paradiddles and whatever? Okay, and how about just still write the music out so that they can have the music? You can still teach by rote, but you never know, that kid might go back, okay, well, here's the music, this is what I'm playing, okay, this is what it looks like. So, I stay, and this is for the instructors, still, teach by rote, do what's, best for your program. But still write that music out and still give it to them. But, like I said, I'm not against rote. You got to have different tools. But just doing that, I think you need, some more tools, for us getting these kids, reading.
Well, I guess I'll have to step out there and be the bad guy, because, like I said, I'm against rote, actually. I do feel that it has its place, but more like rote is like a pickup game. To me, it's like where folks will get together, show off their chops. Hey, man, show me that. What was that? What was that? What was that? But in a different type of situation, I just think so much time. It just takes so much time. You can be more efficient if the fundamentals of reading are there. Like, if you have to say, hey, the band director said, hey, change this part to this dance tune. I mean, by that time, it's just a matter of somebody saying, hey, instead of doing it like this, do it like this real quick. It's still the same type of setup. It's just a variation of it. But I would be against it just on a time factor. I mean, and I say this, EP, it's like, imagine how much time we could have saved if we had everything written out when we went to school.
Yeah.
And if I got the book before I went to Virginia State, if I had it the summer before, man, we could have been a million miles away from 5-6 hour practices on the same thing, But it's all fun. So it can be it's all memories to make a better person. I'm just against it.
But so to go against you, Rick, you saying I guess it takes longer to teach by rote?
I think it would take longer to teach by rote than just to have it. Hey, if you had that material beforehand, you know what the rhythm is.
But
it saves so much time on. It's just a time saving factor.
But if I can't read, what am I looking at?
Bro, if you're at a college line and you can't read by now.
No, I'm not talking about college. We talking about middle school, high school. We're not talking about college.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So if you are in the 6th grade, right, and you're starting out and you can't read, and that goes back to our original comment, hey, it does you no good to do by rote, because now you're learning by 6th grade rote, 7th grade rote, 8th grade rote. Now Mr. Moore has you in high school, and you're like talking about giving out this music, but you can't. What have you done? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Good point. So we pretty much summed everything up. Let's talk about some alternate methods. And Mr. Moore, you hit on this briefly in regards to the ta, tiki, ta, ta. And this next comment says, you know, I've seen it become cheese, bacon, French toast, chocolate, watermelon, etc. Now that seems to be the language that's spoken now, but they said it's not their choice, but this is what's happening. What do you think about that?
I mean, that's music. That's music, right? So do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, skippity bebop. It's gonna happen. And music, you know, it's a language, and it's almost a dialect. You know, if I go down south, it's skloom ligaloom. You know, if you on this coast, it's stickity bigaloom, you know, flocka de flock. You know, it's a I think it's a language that's spoken, and I think it needs to be used, and you're gonna use it. You don't have a choice. If once you get on that field, you're not gonna say go to measure 37. You know, if how many times have y'all been in the back with the percussion and the band director says measure 85, and you look back at percussion and say that's the chaka. They got you. You get what I'm saying? So it's a language, but like I said, we can't really remedy it by being hard. If my son can't do push-ups, my son's 10. If he can't do push-ups, the remedy to get him to do push-ups is not to do 100 push-ups. If my son can't do, I'm not come right here do 100 push-ups right now. That's not going to remedy anything. It's just he's just going to attempt to do raggedy push-ups until he gets tired of it. You know, so I think we have to use these alternate methods and things like that, because I will say with this and learning rote, one thing I discovered is like what he said. He said, I still pass out the music even if they can't read it. And I did that. And what I discovered is when I passed it out, and I kind of guided them through it and made them somewhat read it, I could get them playing above their reading level. I could get them playing above their reading level. And what I would do is I would go back and make them play it measure by measure. So you have to find ways of teaching to kind of, you got to burn the candle at both ends to get what you want. You can't just hammer away. And I think these are good methods. I wouldn't use cheese, bacon, French toast. I would use something that connects with the kids, you know, a little bit more. But it is what it is. We have to use these tools at this point in time. We have a problem, so we gotta try everything and see what sticks. And remember, no two drum lines are gonna be alike. Yep. Whether it's you at an institution and you're going year by year, or you going from place to place. I have not encountered two percussion sections, two percussion classes that are alike. So you got to do different things, and I'm not against it.
Yeah, you know, speaking of alternate methods, hey guys, just want to check this out real quick.
So this is a sheet that I use with my very young students, 6, 7 years old, and it seems funny, you know. It's giving you different names: cheese, hot dog for 2/4 notes, grape, soda, you know, 1/4 and 2/8. Yes, it seems cheesy, but you know, the 6-year-old, he understood it and he was able to play it. He went through all the different rhythms, you know. And like I say, if you don't like this type of, I guess, the foods, you can use your other syllables, other words, other stuff that you might like, Fortnite or whatever, TikTok, I don't know. But I think using syllables related to the rhythms, it has helped the students, the younger students that I deal with. It has helped them.
Yeah, good points, man. And I really like this this diagram of just the different rhythms. And you know, if you really take a look at the first sheet that you showed, the rhythm tree, compared to the diagram that we just showed with the foods, it really ties everything in, and it still goes back to, you know, just learning the basics of what they actually what the note values are of each. So good. So gentlemen, great conversation. At this point, we come to the end where we're going to have our final thoughts on everything that we just discussed, and even your question, Elijah. So I'll let Mr. Alvin Moore take over. What's your final thoughts?
I'll say in final thoughts, as music educators, as percussionists, as percussion instructors, you have to have a toolbox, and it is your job to constantly make sure you have the tool for the job. Like I tell my students, how many rooms can you walk in? As a percussionist, as an instructor, can you just walk in the Hbcu Drumline room? Can you walk in the jazz room? Can you walk in the steel pan room? So how many rooms can you walk in and have the resources to teach the level that you're teaching? Do what you got to do, but have the end goal in mind. And that end goal should be these students' pursuit of music. Not only what you have to do for your job or what you need to happen on the field, but what do they need to go further in music?
Good point. EP.
Just high school directors, middle school, elementary school teachers, try and get on get on the same goal. Get on what a plan. This is what I want our kids in this district to work on from 5th grade or whatever up until high school. This is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna do it, and just have the same plan, the same goal for your kids. That's basically it.
That's good. Both of you guys gave really good points. I have a final question for both of you. It's like a bonus question. And with this, just been doing a lot of thinking about this. And Mr. Moore, you alluded to this something earlier, right? And a lot of times you get a whole plethora of folks coming to you saying, I want to play drums, right? All right, I want to play drums. So I would like just your input on you building your perfect drum section or percussion ensemble. What does that look like to you? What type of person are you looking for?
What type? I want somebody. The people I'm looking for are the ones who have the perseverance, the right attitude, and they're respectful. Because you can learn, and I'm gonna take a gamble on them every time, man. I'm a gamble because I was a trumpet player, and I went to Drumline. They took a chance on me. I went to Norfolk State. I wasn't playing malice or anything, so I think that's why I have it in my heart. But just the students who want to be there and are willing to learn and persevere, those are the students that I want.
Yeah, let me just add something to that. All right, and this is something that I heard EP. We talked about it recently. Do you take a kid that has super chops, super hands? You take that kid and still put them in your drumline or percussion ensemble, and they can't read, or do you not?
I do. I do because I believe anyone can learn. It's up to that student to learn, but I'm going to create the environment. And we've all come across that kid. We've all come across Nick Cannon Jr. I want that kid, but I'm not going to treat him like he's a messiah. Everybody has something to learn. Everybody on this line can learn something. I'm going to take them every single time.
Yeah.
EP, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to take him too, and I'm going to also take the one who probably can't play a paradiddle. Not saying he's going to probably have a spot on the field, but I would not cut him from the line. He's going to get to a point to where he's going to get there. So I'm not going to turn nobody away for the highest skill level or zero skill level.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Guess I'll be the villain.
What would you do, Rick?
Okay, so I like just what you guys said. I think if I want a specific sound, and if I'm looking for specifics, right, and I'm writing out my parts, and I got this kid that comes to me that's dynamic, got hands. I might have to let that kid say, hey, look, you can be a part of this, but you're gonna have to be a part of it from afar until you go through a year of reading before you can even get on the line. I don't say that you can't be a part of it. I'm just saying right now, I'm taking only folks that can read. That's all I'm doing. And the reason why I do this is that I take percussion like this. In regards to a drum line, percussion ensemble, You know, football teams, basketball teams do it all the time. You're redshirted. No. You're going to have to sit out for a year before you can even think about it because we're already moving, right? And that goes, I don't know if it would really benefit from a high school because you can, at a high school level, you can really start developing 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Middle school is pretty much the same way. You're learning the fundamentals. By the time you get to high school, okay, I can get that. You didn't learn anything for those 3 years, but now you're on that accelerated path. By the time you get to college, if you come to me and you got super chops out of this world, okay, that's great. I need you to be able to read this because I need the line to sound a certain way. If you can't read, then what's the next step? Okay, hey, you can still be a part of this process, but you're gonna have to enroll in Percussion 101 for like a year before you even step on the line. I think that's what I would do.
Harsh.
Hey, I mean, it might be harsh, but I'm looking for a specific thing.
No, I'm messing with you. I'm messing.
You know what I mean? And I think in order for our lines to sound a specific way, hey, look, I'll say it. I don't really have no problem. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say we can't use you.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, so you can get on. It might not be now, but you can get on.
Yeah.
You know, just putting some time in it. That's the way I feel about it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, guys, as we take a close here, those were our final thoughts. I do, enjoy these conversations that we had. My boy EP, like I always said, like he always says, it's not about us, it's about the culture.
Yeah.
I'll let him go ahead and close on out. And we did want to say, Mr. Alvin Moore, thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure having this great discussion with you. And you're in the thick of things, and you can see everything that has to happen, especially on a high school level.
Yeah.
Pete, take us on out.
All right. I want to thank everyone for tuning in for this episode of HBCU Drumline Talk. I want to thank Mr. Moore for taking time out of his day to come on, on the podcast. I've learned some stuff from him, explaining some stuff, how it works in the high school level, middle school level. But like I always say, please follow us, Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify. And like Rick just stated, it's not about us, it's about the culture. And we'll see you next time.
Guys, have a great afternoon. Have a good evening. Please be safe.